here. Now, Zach, you're every day at Arizona football practice. You're there shooting. You're there in the hot sun. You're out there grinding. You're sweating. What are your thoughts on just the team in general from what you've seen so far?
I'm seeing a lot of energy out there. From the moment it was their first spring practice last Friday, and you could just tell they're implementing some new things structurally from a coach's standpoint.
Yes.
The players definitely seem like they're into it. Some of the most excited I've seen these players be. And I think coming off last season, there's not a whole lot of pressure on them like there was a season before for them to get back and really be in the groove and be something great. They were coming off their best season in how many years?
Since 98.
Since 98 last year. And I think this year they kind of was a little reality check for them. So I think they're just ready to get back to the grindstone and start hitting those bags hard, start hitting the weight room hard. And you could just tell it is kind of exciting atmosphere for that spring training. And
I'm glad you actually bring that up because, like you said, going to the Fiesta Bowl last year or 2 years ago, they had high hopes, especially because they got Scooby Wright coming back. Everybody on that offense is coming back. What could go wrong? Everything went wrong last season for Arizona, and like you said, it brought them back down to earth. Their heads were so up here. Now they're back at a reasonable level because now they understand the Pac-12 is getting better. Arizona State's better. UCLA and USC still there. Stanford is starting to get back on top. Cal is getting better. Every single team in the Pac-12 is getting better. And I think going into this season much more hungry than they were last season. Oh man, they're gonna have a great season considering their home schedule. They have USC. They have Stanford at home. They even have BYU, which is still home, but it's in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arizona's schedule is going to be looking right for them. So we talked about the offense and that high-powered offense, the spread offense here at Arizona. Rich Rodriguez bringing back Nick Wilson and Orlando Bradford. Samaje Grant's coming back. But also a guy that I like for Arizona this season, and he's the only big receiver returning, and that's 6'3" receiver Trey Griffey. What do you think, Zach?
I think Trey Griffey is bringing a lot to that Arizona team, especially from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah.
He is one of their, I think there's 3 returning seniors that he has, and he is kind of, it seems like to me, I know we talked to him after the practice on Friday, it seems to me like he's really embracing that role a lot more, and he wants the ball in his hands. It seemed last year there were a lot of different characters that it could have gone to on the field, and there wasn't really a solidified wide receiver one on that core group. Still, I don't necessarily know if there is a wide receiver one in that group of receivers that they have. But that kind of brings me to a point that Rich Rodriguez had in his post-game interview or his post-practice press conference was there is no depth chart this year in terms of who's 1, who's 2, who's 3. For this spring training, for this summer camp, they're spending a lot more time developing all of their players and developing as a group and as a unit, as opposed to just singling out players, almost like a lot of pressure was on last year with Scooby Wright. Anu Solomon was in talks for a Heisman hopeful even, which was rather surprising after seeing the outcome of the season too. But I think that's just a difference between what they're trying to change from last year to this year is being more of a unit, being more of a collective group as opposed to singular players getting them to that next level.
What do you think, Brian?
I know, flipping the script here, I think spring practice, it's going to be Anu Solomon, Brian Dawkins, and the new guy, Khalil Tate.
Oh, man.
And
he looks good.
He looks good. So I think it's going to be one of the storylines in spring ball. And I think Brandon Dawkins might get the start. I saw a lot of promise from him in the ASU game. He's a big body. Anu Solomon just seems to be getting hurt all the time with the concussions, and I don't know. I think maybe losing some trust in him. I think Brian Dawkins and then maybe Khalil Tate will, surprise some people and make some appearances. He's kind of like he can run the ball like crazy, and I think he can maybe come in some specialty packages.
Well, I see the 3 quarterbacks, and usually when it's a scenario like what it is this season, where there's 3 quarterbacks competing for a starting job, you'd expect there to be kind of like controversy where they kind of stand by themselves. They don't talk to each other.
Right.
But I see Anu Solomon at practice every day coaching up Brandon Dawkins. I see him coaching up Khalil Tate. So I think that's something that could help. I mean, obviously you shouldn't be coaching him too much if you're trying to get the starting job. But when I see them, all 3 of them work together, I think that's so great. And even Rich Rodriguez, going back to last season when he had Gerard Randall, I asked him in the press conference after a game, said how important would Gerard Randall be to this program if you had him for 4 seasons? And Rich Rodriguez said, "Oh, if I had him for 4 seasons, forget about it."
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I think this is something that we're going to see with Khalil Tate, because not only can Khalil Tate run the ball very well, but he has a cannon, and if he can stay around for 4 years and stay in that system and just perfect that offense,
yeah,
Khalil Tate is going to be a scary quarterback in the future for Arizona.
I agree.
I think about 2 years ago, I was roughly thinking the same thing for Anu Solomon as well when he was there. And you were kind of thinking if this guy sticks around for the entirety of his program, he could really develop into being something great. I just think we haven't really seen that transition from I would almost put him on an average category, an average standard, to that really exceptional category. I think it was kind of a little ridiculous that he was in the Heisman talk for the beginning of last season.
Yeah, it was way too early to be talking about that. And I'm not knocking on Anu Solomon. He has some intangibles, and I think he has some potential. But he's losing traction, and I think these Brian Dawkins and Khalil Tate can give him a run for his money.
Well, one question I wanted to bring up to you guys too was how much of a leadership influence will Anu Solomon, Brandon Dawkins have on teaching Khalil Tate and getting him to that next level? Because there almost has to be some sort of expectation to the faster we start getting this guy reps, the faster we getting him involved in our program, the sooner we could expect him to step up and really be that kind of 3-year starter for us, that 2-year starter for us. So what do you think is the atmosphere for the team for that?
Well, I think it's going to be much like when Anu Solomon was sitting behind B.J. Denker. Now, obviously, B.J. Denker is not the best quarterback you should be learning from. Let's get the record straight here. But just understanding the offense, because B.J. Denker, even though he wasn't a great player, he was an intelligent player, and that's why he was able to do just enough to get Arizona those wins. So I think it's going to be the same thing with Anu Solomon. Is that Brandon Dawkins was under Anu Solomon for all these 2 years. And Brandon Dawkins has even been on UATV, who's actually joining us next week.
Awesome.
I got him. He couldn't join us this week because he's going to the Diamond Children's Hospital, doing his thing.
Right.
But anyways, Brandon Dawkins, if he sitting under Anu Solomon and studying him on how he controls the game and how he just has such a good handle on the tempo and how he controls the offense, that's going to be key, and it's going to be passed on just like a torch. Anu Solomon passes it down to Brandon Dawkins. Dawkins is going to pass it down to Khalil Tate, and I like the Arizona quarterback scenario right now.
Yeah, I think they have a good future with the quarterback group, and hopefully make some big things this year and seasons to come as well.
Now, Arizona defense getting a new look, adding Marcel Yates to the coaching staff, new defensive coordinator, and now they also got a new defensive line coach, former strength and conditioning coach Vince Amy, and now they're introducing a 4-2-5, so it's not much different from the 3-3-5. It's just the only thing you're adding is an extra defensive lineman, adding an extra pass rush, and we all know in a pass-happy conference like the Pac-12, adding that extra pass rush is major key.
It is major key. DJ Khaled.
I
I think the defense was not, as on par last year, and that was a big Achilles heel for them. And I think, if this new defensive coordinator coming in, I think they can really, turn the page and, get the defense going to help out the offense.
Bring back that Desert Swarm defense that we all know.
Yeah, one thing that I saw too during practice, one thing that they're implementing with the equipment managers in their program this year is after every big play that they do when they're in team offense and team defense, they're getting the equipment managers up and they're flagging their flags on them, their towels on them, and making everyone more excited. And that's something that I haven't seen in previous years. And just it seems like they're really trying to add a more stronger spirit to that defense, because anyone who's been to the games last year, it was kind of dull, it was kind of sluggish, and people were just moving kind of slow to the ball. And I think transitioning to that 4-2-5 is more of a response to 4-2-5. That doesn't make sense. 4-2-5 is really transitioning to taking less pressure off that linebacking core, and because they do have a stronger DB secondary with more utility players who can step up in more of a linebacker safety position, and I think that'll really help them out in the long run.
And I think that the two linebackers, obviously Derek Turi is coming back. He's going to be a big force in the middle, but you also have to think they have Kahi Nevis, who's part of that 2016 recruiting class, 3-star linebacker who actually decommitted from Utah and switched over to Arizona. He's enrolled for the spring semester, so he's active in spring football, so expect him to get some reps at first-team defense. And also the big safeties. You got Paul McGlure coming back, and even the corners, Devontae Neal, Sammy Morrison, Jarvis McCall, Tellis Jones is coming back, and then you add those three-star 6'2" safeties that are also coming in. So Arizona's defense is looking like they're going to be some stingy physical defense. So anyways,